Hello everyone, myself Tarun and I'm from CSC department A section. In this video, I'm going to explain about common data type related exceptions in Java. There are many common data type related exceptions in Java, and one of them is number format exception. This exception occurs when we try to convert a string into an integer type or float type or double type if that string doesn't contain that type. For example, if you have a string which is ABC, and we try to convert this into an integer which the string doesn't contain any integer type of number. Like if we have 39, we can convert this into an integer type, but we have ABC which is string which is cannot be converted into an integer type. So the number format exception will occur in this case. So to to handle this exception, we can use try catch block. Here we have to write the statement which can lead to the exception, which is number format exception, and we can write the statements to handle in a catch block. Here we have catch block, and we can catch this exception here, and we can handle this exception in these statements. We can write any other statements here, but here I'm writing only this print statement to get the message of this number format exception. The other exception is class cast exception. When we try to cast an object to a type which is not compatible with, then this class cast exception will occur. Here, to handle this class cast exception, we can write try catch block. Exceptional handling can be used to handle this exception. Here we have to write a try block. In this try block, we have to write statements which can lead to this class cast exception, and we can write catch block which catches this exception, and we can write the statements to handle this exception. Array store exception. If we have an array here, for example, we have obj array and which has size 5, and if we try to store string in this array which is of integer type, then array store exception can occur. In this case, we are storing a string type of, like hello is a string, right? We are storing this in this array which is of integer type. So we cannot store like this. If we store like this, we'll get array store exception, and we can same handle this exception using try catch block, as I said before. Negative array size exception. If we try to declare an array, and if we try to declare and initialize an array, which here we are trying to declare this array with a size -5. Size cannot be negative. So we get negative array size exception here. To handle this exception, we can use try catch block same as before. Array index out of bounds exception is another type of common data type related exception in Java. Here, if we try to like access an index out of bounds of the array, then we'll get this array index out of bounds exception. Here, for example, we have an array which has three size, and we have three elements in this. And if we try to access an element which is at the index 5, we have no element at the index 5. So we'll get array index out of bounds exception here, and we can handle this exception using same try catch block. So these are the common data type related exceptions in Java. Let me explain this using program. This is all about theory part. Let me just explain three of them using program. Here I have created a class whose name is DT related exception. DT means data type, and I have created a main method here. And at first, I am going to explain number format exception using program. Number format exception occurs when we try to convert a string into a type like integer, double or float. Let me declare a string str and which has string hello, and let me try to convert this string into an integer type. We can convert a string into an integer type using integer.parseInt method. Where this string doesn't contain any type of data which is integer type, and we are trying to convert this string into an integer which can cause number format exception here. Let me save this program and compile and run. Compilation is done and no errors are occurred, but here number format exception may occur. Let me run this. So here we get number format exception. It says that number format exception for input string hello. So to handle this exception, we can write try catch block. The statement, we have to put this in try block, and the handling statements, we have to write that in catch block. We have to write number format exception or else exception. And just printing the message. We can get the message using e.get message. Like this, we can handle this exception. Let me run this program. First, we have to save this and compile and run. We have no errors here. And if we try to run this program, we get this output. So like this, we can handle number format exception. The other exception is array index out of bounds exception. Let me create an array of int type. Let me initialize here itself. Here this array contains 3 elements. That is, the size of this array is 3. And when we try to like when we try to access an element which is out of bounds of this array, like if we try to access the element at index 4 or 5 or 3 also, in this case ARR of 3, which is out of bounds. So here we can get array index out of bounds exception. Let me save this program and compile and run. Compilation is done. No errors are there. Let me run this program. Here we can see we get an exception which is array index out of bounds exception for index 3 out of bounds for length 3. To handle this exception, we can write this statement in try block. And we have to write a catch block to handle this exception. We have to write array index out of bounds exception any, and we have to handle this, and we can write any other statements here. I'm just printing the exception method exception message here using e dot get message. Let me save this and run and compile and run. So here we get this message index 3 out of bound for length 3. So we can handle this exception like this. Let me explain another exception, which is array store exception. If we try to if we try to create an array of integer type, of size 3, and if we try to initialize any of the element in this array, like I'm trying to initialize the first element to string. This array is of integer type and we cannot initialize the element of this array as string. So we get array store exception here. Let me save and compile and run. We get no errors here, but we get array store exception. So we got array store exception here, and we can handle this exception using try catch block. We have to write this statement in try block and write a catch block in which we handle this exception using some statements. We have to write array store exception e, and here I'm just printing the message e dot get message. Let me save this and compile and run. There are no errors in this program, and let me just run this program. Here I get java.lang.string, which is this e.get message will return, and I have printed this. So the other exception is negative array size exception. Let me explain negative array size exception using a program. If we try to declare an array with a size negative, with a negative size like -5, we get negative array size exception here. Let me save, compile and run this program. We get no errors. Let me clear screen and compile and run. Here I get negative array size exception, which is -5. The size of this array is -5. To handle this exception, we can write try catch block. We have to put this statement in a try block. And we have to write a catch block which goes like this. Negative array size exception e. I'm just printing the message e dot get message So this is the program to handle this exception. We can handle any exceptions using try catch block. So let me just save, compile and run this program. Compilation is successful. That is, no errors are occurred in this program. And let me run this program. Here I get -5. That is, this e dot get message will return this size of this array, which is -5 here. So this is all about data type related exceptions in Java. Thank you.